We are live. Hello, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, whatever time it happens to be in your neck of the woods. Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday, September the 15th, halfway through September. All right, before we get going here, I just want to make sure that this is coming through loud and clear and that you can hear me, that you can see me, that it is coming through clear on your end. So I'm just going to wait for a few people to pop onto our live stream and let me know if this is coming through loud and clear. Let us see. There's people popping onto our live stream right now. Lee joining in, saying, coming through loud and clear. Much appreciated. Thank you much. And Lee is a regular of our video chats. I appreciate the support. And coming in perfect from Missy Flying Air. I think I said that right. Mix joining in. Morning, loud and clear. Welcome. Looking good, Master Lee. Jedi Master. All right. Shannon's joining in. We have Kyle is joining in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you tuning in. And if you are new to our video chats, or if you're a regular, well, welcome back if you're a regular. And if you're brand new, welcome. It's always nice to have new people joining in for our live Q&A. And the way that these work is I am going to be hanging out here for the next hour-ish. I always say ish because if I got the gift to gab, sometimes it goes longer than an hour. And if you got a lot of questions, sometimes it goes longer than an hour. But if we don't have a lot of questions, then we might cut it at an hour or a little short. So it's an hour-ish. So set your clock to an hour-ish. And we're going to have a lovely little Friday afternoon video chat here. And this is something that I've been doing for several years, doing the Live at 5 video Q&A over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, as well as over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. So wherever you happen to be joining in from, whether that is YouTube or Facebook, you're more than welcome. Let's see who else. Oh, we got Jeff Anderson joining in. Long time no see, Jeff. Glad to have you joining in. Awesome. Who else we got in here? We have Ryan is joining in. I made it to a live. Congratulations, Ryan. Good for you. We've got Eddie joining in from Ireland. Richard's joining in. Welcome, Richard. Richard's one of our members over on the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. Thomas is saying, getting prepared for Hurricane Lee. Yeah. If they named it Lee, you know it's going to be a bad one, right? This is going to be a very persistent hurricane. It's not going to quit easy. It's going to keep on pushing through. It's going to be good enough and good enough consistently if it is a Hurricane Lee coming through. All right. It's got a lot of people popping on here. I don't know if I'm joined in or not. Yes, you are, Steve. You are joined in. If you are watching, you're typing, you're in here now, you are joined in. Congratulations. Good stuff. I know you mentioned earlier you were going to try to catch the replay. Well, you're doing one better. You're catching it live. And there's something special about catching a live. You know, when you watch a live stream and you get to participate and chat, it just, even though technically it's the same content, it just feels different when it's a live stream versus a replay stream. So again, congratulations on making it. That's one step. Showing up. 80% of success is showing up, and you're here. All right, so again, the way these video chats work is I'm going to be hanging out here answering questions and topics of discussion that you have related to fitness and nutrition, your health and wellness, building muscle, losing fat, any specific challenges that you may be dealing with regards to your workouts or your eating plan, questions around supplementation. Feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our video chat, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out. And if I can, then by all means, I'll help you out. And if I can't, then I'll try and point you in the right direction to somebody who can, because I've got a large network of people in the fitness industry, so I might be able to point you in the right direction if I can't help you. Because even though I've been in the fitness industry and coaching people for I've been involved with the fitness industry myself for over 30 years, coaching people one-on-one for the past 25, but I don't claim to be a know-it-all, right? I'm not a know-it-all. So, I mean, sometimes people got questions or challenges that are outside my scope of expertise. So if that happens, I'm not going to try and BS you or give you any false hope or anything like that, but I will try and point you in the right direction to someone who can help guide you and give you some direction that you may need to move through those challenges. All right, so if there's anything in particular you want to type in for questions and comments and topics of discussion, go ahead and do that now. And we have one question. I'm going to bring this one up here. It was actually sent in from a regular of our chat. And it's a good question that I want to acknowledge. And because of the topic of this question, I'm going to keep the name anonymous. But we're just going to dive into the question. Just a second. I got to bring it up there. He sent it through Facebook Messenger. Where is it there? All right. Okay, I'm going to just read this one out. Right, so it's a question that I think a lot of people probably be able to relate to. It says, Lee, I'm thinking of doing my first steroid cycle because, to be honest with you, I am sick of busting my ass in the gym 6 days a week and seeing hardly any results. I was thinking of starting off my first cycle, 12-week testosterone cycle. Was just wondering if you knew the best way to go about the post-cycle therapy and what to take. I'd rather ask you than anybody else. All right. First off, I am not an endocrinologist or doctor or any of that stuff, but I'm just going to talk about this. The temptation for steroids is big, and I can appreciate that. When I was younger in bodybuilding and all that, like the idea of it has this mystical, taboo, magic potion aura about it. Like everyone thinks, oh man, if I get on steroids, that's it. I'm going to be ripped and jacked and huge and blah, 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 blah. And it's not the magic bullet that a lot of people make it out to be. It's really not. And I've seen a lot of people who've went on steroids, and don't get me wrong. I mean, they do work, right? You will see some progress or some results from it, but it's not the magic bullet. And in this guy's case, he's a young guy. He's in his early 20s. So at this stage of the game, you're still in the prime of life, right? You're still in your prime. And I know when you go on YouTube and or on Instagram or whatever social media platform you go surfing, you're going to see people who are full on, abusing performance enhancing drugs, and they're going to be, you're going to see amazing results. Part of it is because of the performance enhancing drugs. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of it is genetics and just good old-fashioned hard work. And I think one of the biggest benefits of a performance-enhancing drug course, if you will, it's not so much the substances that you're taking, but it's the fact that you're taking something. It just gives you that motivation, that drive. You're like, well, I just spent all this money and I'm doing all this stuff. I got to make the most of it. So now I'm going to be consistent with my workouts. I'm going to push myself extra hard. I'm going to do whatever I can to maximize this cycle that I'm taking. And that's where a lot of the progress actually comes about. It's almost like the placebo effect. Now, don't get me wrong, that there is actual benefits from taking the actual drugs themselves. But I think the biggest one is in the placebo effect, where the fact that you're taking something is going to make you more consistent with all the other things. You'll want to be more consistent with your training, more consistent with your nutrition, more consistent with everything that goes into making the best gains possible, because you want to maximize this whole scenario. And I think that's the biggest bang that you're going to get from it all. And another thing you got to look at is the bigger picture. If you take a performance enhancing drug cycle, whatever it is, okay, you mentioned there, you just want to go on testosterone. All right. That's, first off, your testosterone levels, assuming you're a healthy, normal guy in your early 20s, they're already at high levels. So you're going to put them in the really high levels and possibly even into the side effect levels, where you start to get the water retention and the acne and the bloat and all that kind of stuff. That could be a very realistic thing. And I see that happen a lot. The guys get puffy and bloated. And that's a lot of the weight gain that people get from testosterone. It's water retention. I mean, you can argue that it's lean mass because water retention, it's not fat. So it's technically lean mass, but it's not as impressive as a lot of people think it is. Like, I remember this was years ago, there was a study done on 600 milligrams of testosterone where they had 3 different groups. It's a famous study, and a lot of people have done videos about it and articles and everything else. But bottom line, they did different groups. Like, okay, one group was taking steroids and working out. One group was working out, not taking steroids. And then there was another group just took steroids and didn't work out. Obviously, the group that took the steroids and worked out, seeing the biggest results. The group that worked out without taking steroids, they still seen results. But surprisingly, the ones that took the steroids and didn't work out actually gained more weight than the ones who worked out naturally. But it doesn't give you the full picture, because a lot of the weight gain from testosterone is water retention. So they're looking at scale weight. Oh, like, hey, this group, I don't know, the group A gained something like 13 pounds. Group B gained 3 or 4 pounds. And group C gained somewhere like 8 pounds. No, I'm not exactly sure on the numbers now because I don't have the study in front of me, but I'm just from memory. It was somewhere in those ballpark ranges. And again, you got to look at it. A lot of that is water retention. So if you're looking to get short-term bloated and have a short-term spike in strength, because that extra water retention, that extra bloat, that's going to also help to increase your strength. But as soon as you go off it, guess what? It's like letting the air out of the balloon. It's like what you pump it up and then you let it all out again. You're not going to sustain the results afterwards. And in fact, the opposite is going to happen, because you actually posted this in the question there, was post-cycle therapy. After the cycle is over, you just suppressed your natural testosterone. So once you stop taking the synthetic one, now you are in a low testosterone state. You have low T, and you got to let your natural testosterone kick in again. And yes, there are some drugs and things that can help to speed up the process of your body producing testosterone again. But there's going to be that phase afterwards where you're feeling good and you're feeling strong, you're bloated and puffy and everything else. And then it's just like letting the air out of the balloon. And then you're going to feel like crap. And then you're going to be training and it's like, oh, I'm not feeling as big as I was. I'm not seeing the gains as I was. My strength has gone down and everything else. And that's just going to motivate you to want to go back on it again. And then it becomes this never ending spiral. And then it becomes into this more is better type of scenario. And a lot of people get caught up in that. And some people get into the never ending cycle and they're just continuously taking it on an ongoing basis. And that could lead to problems and side effects and everything else. And especially if you're not doing it under a doctor's supervision. And I guarantee you at 20 something years old, you don't have low testosterone unless you have some medical condition. But most guys don't have low testosterone in their 20s. And if you go to your doctor and say, hey, I want to go on testosterone, or go to a HRT clinic or something, they're not going to prescribe you HRT. So you're going to be resorting to black market. You don't know what you're getting, right? There's a lot of fake crap out there. I mean, obviously there's some real stuff out there and underground stuff, and God knows what you're getting, but it's really a crapshoot. And personally, I don't think it's worth it at this stage. I really don't. I'm just trying to tell it like it is, right? I'm trying to help you here, because even if you went on it and you hit a new personal best, like, okay, you put on some weight, you hit some new personal bests in the gym, it's only a short-term thing. And then as soon as you go off it again, you're going to lose whatever gains you made. And then if you're feeling bad now, like, oh, the progress is slow now, it's going to feel even worse once you come down off that cycle. So personally, I don't think it's the right thing to do. Now, with that being said, you can do whatever the hell you want to do, right? I mean, I'm just trying to guide you and give you some some insights here, but personally, I don't think it's worth it, right? Not at this stage. Like in your early 20s, maximize this phase, you know, like go through your 20s and maximize, build that natural foundation and take advantage of being in your natural prime when everything is working in its as it's supposed to. Because another thing you got to factor in is once you start synthetically manipulating your hormones, it can throw things out of whack, right? You start taking testosterone, then that can artificially enhance your estrogen levels, and then you can get gynecomastia and all this water retention and the bloating and the, you know, it can really screw up a lot of things. It really can. Whereas now, when you're doing it naturally, like your body is very smart. Everything is in balance and proportion. It's not going to throw things out of whack. And you should really take advantage of that now while you can. As far as making better gains, one thing I see there, obviously, if your goal is to build muscle and you say you're busting your ass in the gym 6 days a week, the reason why you're probably not seeing the gains you are is you could literally be overtraining. And that's a very common scenario where people overtrain. You know, they're so hungry to make progress. They have that more is better mentality. So I got to be in the gym every day or 6 days a week. And it's like burning the candle at both ends. Because I can tell you, back when I was in my younger days and trying to bulk up and get bigger, I fell into that trap thinking more is better. And I ended up digging myself into a rut. And then when I actually started talking to some more experienced bodybuilders and studying and learning about this, I realized, hey, recovery is just as important as the actual workout, if not more important. Because the workout is not where the muscle is built. You don't build any muscle in the gym. When you're in there busting your ass 6 days a week, you're not building muscle. You're tearing muscle down, but you're providing a stimulus for muscle to grow. It's in the rest recovery phase where you actually grow bigger and stronger. So you go in there, you train hard, you stimulate the muscle, you tear it down. But then in the rest recovery phase, that's where your body will rebuild and actually become back stronger so that you can handle that workout the next time. And I think if you want to make better gains, try scaling back your workouts. And I can tell you from personal experience, I made my best gains ever from a mass building point of view, training 3 days a week or every other day, however you want to do it. Like I just did it every other day and I didn't really get caught up in the days of the week. So it was just day on, day off, day on, day off. And by having a full 48 hours rest in between workouts, I could approach each session feeling rested and recovered, train that much harder, push myself, and then know that, okay, I got a full 48 hours rest before the next workout. Or it's technically not 48 hours because if your workout takes a couple hours, 46 hours rest in between workouts, put it that way. But by having that break, day on, day off, I was actually able to make way better gains. And that's where I really seen my strength and size and everything just start to skyrocket when I scale back to every other day. So that's what I'd recommend if you're sick of busting your ass in the gym 6 days a week and hardly seeing any results. Rather than looking to band-aid the solution with hormones, I'd look at the training, like focus on optimizing the training first. And not only is it healthier, it's a lot cheaper, it's a lot safer, and you're not going to get involved with legal trouble, which may vary depending on where you live. Because I know that's a wild card because we have an international audience here. Some places, steroids are legal. Some places they're classified drugs that are right up there that'll put you in jail, if you get caught with them, the same as if you were caught with any other, restricted drugs. So it's a very fine line and something that you probably don't want to go down that rabbit hole, right? Personally, I would not recommend it. But anyway, food for thought. Think it over, and hopefully this resonates with you. And with that being said, I'm going to move on. So we started off with a bang, right? Start the Q&A off with a bang, right from the get-go. All right, what other questions have we got coming in here? Let's see. We have Baby Boomer Fitness joining in. Welcome. Glad to have you joining in. We have Ryan joining in. Second now. Says, good to see you again. Have you heard of a Ninja Creami? I highly recommend it for protein ice cream. Got to satisfy that sweet tooth, so it's my hack. I have heard of it. Some of the guys in our VIP coaching group have the Ninja Creami. I personally don't have one myself. I'm still making my high protein ice creams in my Vitamix, and I find that that's good enough. I mean, a Vitamix blender is a powerful blender, and we're actually talking about this over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. Some people were talking about blenders and stuff, and I mentioned that I've had my Vitamix blender for over 10 years, and the thing still works like new. So that's what I use for blender smoothies or blender ice creams or whatever. I'm sure the Ninja Creami's probably got a few little, again, I've never used it before, so I can't do an honest comparison, but I've just heard people say wonderful things about it. So if somebody is looking for a new kitchen gadget, hey, by all means, you might want to look into it. Personally, I'm not looking into a new kitchen gadget at this stage because our kitchen counter real estate is, it's getting crowded, right? It's like New York City there. The real estate is very expensive and prime because we got so many kitchen gadgets on the kitchen counter there now that I got to be picky about what we put on there, because for a while we were just going crazy with stuff, right? Oh, we had to have a juicer, and we had to have different types of gadgets and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I want clear the space and just keep the minimal amount of gadgets that I need there. So that's part of the reason why I haven't dove into the Ninja Creami yet, is because I'm just we have limited real estate on our kitchen counter right now. So the Vitamix is serving my needs fine. All right, let's see what else we got there. But for those of you who have a Ninja Creami, feel free to share in the comments, your feedback about it. Sell me. Do I need to go and upgrade from a Vitamix blender to a Ninja Creami? Let me know. What else we got there? Baby Boomer's got a question saying, what would cause my leg to stiffen up for no reason? Can't hardly bend my knee. Got up one morning and bam, there I go. I'd really like to know more about that. It could be as simple as a cramp, which usually that's what it is, like quote unquote Charlie horse cramp in the leg. That's a common thing. But it could also be you pinched a nerve. It could be, you just a nerve impingement. Who knows? I mean, I'd like to know more about what you've done in the days before. Like, is this the day after a leg workout? Like what? In order to give a better answer, if you want to elaborate on it, please feel free to do so. But it could be as simple as an impinged nerve. That's like if you get a weird pain or something comes like out of the blue, that's probably what it is. And I'll give you an example. Like last week, my lower back really just stiffened up one side, like one area it was in the right spinal erector area of the lower back, the two columns of muscle in the lower back, the right side, it just cramped up and it was very stiff and painful. And I was hobbling around like an old man for a couple days. And it was just like an impinged nerve because I didn't do anything out of the ordinary, but I must have, just the way I sat or moved or twisted or whatever, I just pinched a nerve. And sometimes even in my upper back, every now and then I get it in like the upper back rhomboid area. Sometimes I pinch a nerve and it can really cause a lot of pain and discomfort, but it usually within a day or two loosens up and eases up. But yeah, sometimes I'm just blaming I'm getting old. You get these weird aches and pains that just kind of pop up for no reason. But it could also be a muscle cramp from electrolyte imbalances. I usually, if I get a muscle cramp, it's usually actually while I'm training. So for example, like if I don't have enough electrolytes in my system, not enough sodium in my system, and then I'm training and I'm sweating, sometimes I'll get cramps. And that's why I'm a big advocate of keeping topped up on the electrolytes, especially sodium. So I'll purposely add salt to my food. Even when I'm at the gym, and I got a water bottle, I'll literally put salt in my water bottle. So I usually put amino acids and I put salt in my water bottles, and I sip that when I'm at the gym training. And I find that helps to keep the electrolytes topped up, because when you're sweating and you're losing all that fluid, you're not just losing water, you're losing the sodium and the electrolytes along with it. And I have a high sweat salt content, right? So I need to make sure that I'm replenishing that. And if I don't, then I suffer from cramps. It would be a big issue if I didn't keep on top of it. But by simply making sure that I'm consuming adequate sodium, I usually can keep that under control. Sodium's a big one. Like, a lot of people don't realize the power of sodium. Like, we're kind of brainwashed into thinking sodium's the bad guy, you know, and all the, like, the nutritional media says, oh, you know, low salt, salt-free, don't eat salt. Salt's bad for your heart. Salt's going to kill you. Salt, whatever. Salt's going to raise your blood pressure. It's not the salt. It's usually not drinking enough water so that your body can utilize the salt and then flush out the excess. That's what it usually is. So as long as you're drinking adequate water, and especially if you're active and you're sweating a lot, you need to replenish that sodium. You know, if you're operating in a sodium and an electrolyte deficit, that could be a big cause for getting muscle cramps, and that could be quite likely what happened. But again, I'd really need to know more context of what led up to that leg stiffening up without being, you know, anyway. If you want to elaborate, post down in the comments below and we can follow up. Shannon joining in. Welcome, Shannon. Pick one for better development, hack squat or belt squats, and why? What do you prefer? What feels the best for you? What one do you have access to? And it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's not a right or wrong answer. It's a personal preference, because both exercises are going to work the same muscles. They're a very similar movement pattern. It's what feels better for you. When it comes to the hack squat, there are certain hack squat machines that I really like and certain ones that I hate. And it just depends on the make of the machine. Some of them I find very hard on the knees. Just the angle of the machine, the way the foot plate is and everything else, it just kills my knees. And I find it actually easier to do a barbell squat with free weights versus doing a hack squat in some cases. But with that being said, we have at the gym that I train at, Omega Health and Fitness, they've got a hack squat machine that is a hip loaded one. It's so instead of shoulder pads, it's got this angled seat. Let's see if I can show it there. Okay, it's a seat kind of like that, and you sit your ass in it, and it's supports on your hips, and you slide up and down that way. If I had a picture, I could show you, but it's a hip supported hack squat, if you will. So I find like that feels really comfortable. There's no back strain, because all the weight is supported on your hips. So there's nothing on your shoulders or your back or your spine. And just the angle of the machine, it actually, the backrest is adjustable and you can set it up, but I find that it feels really good. So that's one hack squat variation that I really like. As far as belt squats, we do have a belt squat machine at the gym as well. And there are different variations of belt squats. Those are good ones as well. The thing I like about the belt squat and that hip loaded hack squat is it's a great way to squat without placing stress on your back. Because if you're in the gym and you're training your back heavy with your back exercises, whether rows and deadlifts and all that kind of stuff, and then you go and do heavy leg work where you're loading your spine again with a barbell across your shoulders, or if it's a hack squat across your shoulders, that's a lot of stress on the shoulders and the spine. So it's sometimes nice to be able to train your legs without loading up the back and the spine. So either one of those, in my opinion, just choose the one that feels the best for you. And if you like both of them, then you can alternate them, or even go like a few weeks of doing one and then a few weeks of doing the other. But it's not necessarily a right, wrong, good or bad, because both are pretty much equal as far as a practical exercise for the legs. We got Bobby joining in. Says, my right hand has nerve damage from an old break. I just discovered lifting hooks. What's your opinion on using them? I've noticed a huge improvement in my lifting and form. Well, if you've noticed a huge improvement in your lifting and form, then I think they're pretty darn good. And keep doing it. Right? I've personally have never used the hooks before. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've seen them, but I've never ever had a set for myself. I have used lifting straps, and I find lifting straps are helpful. And if I ever need to reinforce my grip for like deadlifts or shrugs or something like that, then I would use the lifting straps. But I've never used the hooks before, so I'm not the best person to really offer feedback on the hooks because I never did use them. But you've basically answered your own question. You've seen the improvement in your form, and obviously if you like them and it's causing an improvement for you, then keep doing it. Especially if you got nerve damage and it prevents you from grabbing the weights or supporting the weights in your hands like you normally would. So yeah, you basically answered your own question right there. If it works for you, keep doing it. Right? Doesn't matter my opinion. Does it work for you? That's what matters the most. All right. Oh, I'm gone. See you later, guys. Bye. I'll read Steve's novel here, and then I'll close it out so you can see me again. He says, do you think it's worth doing... I can pop my eyes over the thing. Do you think it's worth doing direct training for glutes as a man who's looking to compete? I have the opportunity to train direct butt work with my girlfriend. No pun intended there. We'll right? I'm sure there's a lot of guys want to do some direct butt work with their girlfriends, but we'll leave that alone. Anyway, I don't know if it's worth my time. The only bodybuilders that I know who has crazy, noticeably huge glutes are Ronnie Coleman, Kai Green. My girlfriend trains arms with me and wants me to train glutes with her. But when I wonder if my time would be best spent elsewhere, like my back or my hamstrings. All right, close that off. This is something that is relatively new in the bodybuilding and fitness world. Like when we had bro splits back in the day, it was chest and back and arms and shoulders and legs, and there was never glutes. And that's something I get a kick out of. Like a lot of times when I'm talking to people, especially when you're talking to female bodybuilders, bikini competitors or whatever, like, you know, they're saying, oh, what are you training today? Oh, today is glutes. Like back in the day, nobody would go to the gym to just train their ass. Like that was worked indirectly from all the leg exercises you did. Like if you did squats, if you did deadlifts, hack squats, and any squat variation, you did lunges and step ups and all this stuff, that's working your glutes. All the deadlifts, whether it's a conventional deadlift or a sumo deadlift or a Romanian or a stiff leg deadlift, like that's all working glutes. So you don't necessarily have to do a glute day. Your glutes are going to get trained from just training your legs, especially if you're doing big compound lifts. Now, with that being said, if you want to go in there and start doing some of these, you know, special glute only exercises, there's nothing wrong with it. But personally, I can't see me dedicating a whole day to just training my ass in the gym, you know, just doing glute isolation stuff. Now, with that being said, I mean, I still do exercises that I guess some people would consider glute exercises, but I kind of consider it leg exercises. Like I will do, there's a leg kickback machine at our gym. We've got the barbell hip thruster machine at our gym. I'll use that, you know, and leg presses and the different squat variations and stuff. So, I mean, you can consider that a glute day, if you will, but I really just consider it leg day. That's the way I look at it. You know, I guess it's all perspective and how you focus on it. But to me, glute day is / leg day. It's all the same because it's going to come into play regardless. But if you want to do extra glute work, and if your girlfriend wants you to do extra glute work with her, why not? Right? Right. I could see you. There's worse ways to spend your time than in the gym doing glute work with your girlfriend. So, but that's just my 2 cents worth on it. Again, like back in the day, like you would never see in a bodybuilding split routine, today is glute day, whereas now it is, right? Like that's just it's a change that we've seen. But back in the day, everybody would just say, I'm training legs, and legs also included glutes, just as a supporting muscle group, which basically came into play with all your other exercises. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. We have Marwan joining in. Lee, how do people that go on gear still look huge even after coming off the gear? Okay, this is, I guess, related to the first question we have. They're probably got a lot of mass in general, but everybody is going to see a difference versus if someone's jacked and on bust versus if they're coming off, there's going to be a difference. Again, it's going to be like letting the air out of the balloon. But if the balloon is so big, you know, someone is just a genetic beast of a person, they're still going to be big regardless. Like, let's just say the performance enhancing drugs give you a 10% edge over what you could achieve naturally, right? It may be more or less, but just for the sake of an example, let's just say, if someone's really huge and they've been training for years and they're just a genetic beast and they're 250 plus pounds, and then they get on the gear and now they go up to 275 and then they come off and they go back to 250, they're still huge. Whereas if you get someone who's, 150 pounds and goes on the gear and he goes up to 165 and then he comes off and he goes back to 150, well, he wasn't big on or off. You know what I mean? So it really has to do with the person. Like, if some people are just genetically bigger than others, and whether or not you put performance enhancing drugs in there or not, they're still going to be big, right? It's the way it is. It's just going to bump you up that little extra, but it's not going to just continue on going, right? Like, a lot of people think, oh, it's the magic bullet, but it really isn't, right? I mean, yes, it does give you an edge, yes, all that, but it's okay. You're up here, right? Like, you can still make progress naturally. And that's something, like, a lot of people, they're so impatient. They don't think they can make progress naturally. But if you learn to make progress naturally and maximize that, I mean, and then if you do decide to take the performance enhancing route in the future, you will get so much more benefit from it versus someone who doesn't learn how to train naturally and then they just jump into the shortcut right away. Like, the way that this is going to work is it's going to band-aid and mask a lot of mistakes. Like, you could train a lot harder and get away with it if you were on performance enhancing drugs, and vice versa. You could train a lot easier and still get away with it. Whereas when you're natural, you've got to be spot on. Like, you've got to learn how to optimize everything in order to really make progress. And that's going to really help you in the future. And then if you do decide to take it to that next level for whatever reason, if you do get into competitive sports, open sports, non-tested sports, right? I wouldn't recommend anybody trying to cheat drug tests. It's humiliating, right? I'm not going to mention any names, but I know people who have competed naturally, won the natural event, and then it comes out later that, oh, they failed the drug test, right? Oh, well, womp womp. Like, it's a big, kick to the nuts, kick to your shrunken nuts after that. So if you are going to be doing anything like that, obviously compete in an open, non-tested event, which that is accepted, if you will. But yeah, I mean, to get back to your question, Marwan, it's really genetics. Like, if somebody's just a genetically big person, they're going to be a genetically big person, whether they're on or off. All right, what else we got there? I think this is another question from Bobby saying, my right hand has nerve damage from an old break. This is just a similar question to the one we already answered, or was my right hand nerve damage old break. I recently discovered lifting hooks, we've mentioned, which is good. Will long-term use negatively affect anything? I don't think so. I mean, if it allows you to train and your hands are already damaged anyway, I don't think there's any real negative drawbacks here. The only drawback from using assisted grip, whether that's a lifting strap or a lifting hook, is you're not going to maximize your natural grip strength. But if you've already got nerve damage in your hands because your past injury, you're not maximizing your hand strength anyway. Like, that's a handicap that's preventing you from training as hard as you normally would if you had healthy hands. So in this case, it's allowing you to work around that old injury. So I actually think it's a positive in this case, not a negative. But that is the negative, if you will. It's you can get a weak grip. And this is something that I actually, I'm guilty of this. Because back when I first discovered lifting straps, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. Now my grip is no longer an issue. Then I started using them for everything. So anytime I did a rowing exercise or a shrug or a deadlift or a pull-up or whatever, I was strapping on, and I was strapped in for all my rowing and pulling exercises. And I thought it was great because now the grip is no longer an issue. Then when I decided that I wanted to try my hand in powerlifting, and in powerlifting, you're not allowed to use lifting straps, in competitive powerlifting, that is. So I wanted to train for that. And then I realized just how weak my hands were. Like I couldn't hold on to a deadlift because my grip sucked. And then I really had to prioritize grip training. And I focused on, using heavy grip hand grippers and a whole bunch of special exercises to build up my grip back in the day. And I really had to prioritize it because for several years I was overusing the assist of the lifting straps and I never built up my natural grip strength. So ideally, and maybe you can even do this in your situation as well, try and do, if you can do an exercise without assist, without the hooks or without straps, do it. Or even do your progressively heavier warm-up sets without straps or hooks. But once it gets to the point where your hands and your grip is a limiting factor, then use the assistance of the straps or the hooks. So bottom line, you still want to try and train your natural grip, and ideally even include some special exercises, whether that's certain types of gripper exercises or forearm work to help strengthen your hands. It doesn't have to be complicated either. Like I tell you, one of the best grip exercises that you can do, and it's a great just overall exercise for the entire body and a stretch. At the end of your workout, just go over to a pull-up bar, grab onto the pull-up bar and just do a dead hang, and hang for as long as your grip will hold. Once your grip fatigues, then you probably just try a different grip, because like a lot of pull-up bars these days, they got different grips. You got the straight bar grip, you got the parallel grip or the angled grips, all that kind of stuff. What I do at the end of my workouts is I just take a few minutes, hold on to one position for as long as my grip will hold, and then rest a minute, grab another position for as long as my grip will hold, and then grab another one. And I'll do probably 3 sets or so in different grips, just hanging. And not only is this an amazing stretch for your chest, your lats, it helps to decompress your spine and everything else, but it builds up great grip strength as well. So that's something that I like to do at the end of my workouts, part of my post-workout stretching routine. But again, it's also a great grip exercise. So, there's a lot of things you can do to build up your natural grip strength. And that's one of the things that I would highly recommend if you can do it. Now, again, you mentioned you have nerve damage in your hands. So I don't know how bad or how limiting that is. But if you can, still try and build your natural grip strength to the best of your ability. And then take advantage of the assists from the lifting hooks to take things to the next level so that you're able to train your back and your pulling muscles and everything else without your grip being the limiting factor. Who else? Skanderbag the Great. Welcome. Is it late to build muscle at the age of 33 based on your experience? No. And I'm going to unpack this question, right? The simple answer is no, and I could just move on. But I like to unpack this. If you're looking to become, maximize your genetic potential and all that, yeah, you're kind of late. All right, I'll be honest, because most people, if they want to maximize their genetic potential, you want to take advantage of that natural prime when you're in your late teens, early 20s. Right? That's ideal because that's when your body is at its prime for natural growth, and you're going to make a lot of gains in your late teens and early 20s because your natural testosterone and hormones and growth hormone and your metabolism, everything is, firing on all 8 cylinders in your late teens, early 20s. But it doesn't mean when you're beyond that you can't make progress. You can still make amazing progress in your later years. And I'm actually going to show you a picture of somebody who's done just that. This is one of my personal coaching students. Just a second, I'm going to try and open something here on my computer. if it will work. Come on. Where's that darn thing to? There we go. Hang on. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. Where are we to? Here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Just a second now. Where's the share screen button? I don't share screen very often. Share screen. There we go. Share screen, share screen. Application. There. Boom. Hopefully this is coming through and you can see this. I think it is. This guy right here. Actually, I'll move your question out of the way. This is Mike Brown. This is one of my personal coaching students. He's a member of the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. Mike started working out at age 56. 56. In picture one, where he's holding the phone in front of his face, he's 56 years old. In picture two, he's 59. In 3 years, he made amazing progress. Amazing progress. So if you want to see proof, can you build muscle at 33? Well, he did it at 56. You know, from 56 to 59, he got in the best shape of his life. And he's not a former athlete. He's not someone who, you know, spent his teenage and 20s and 30s and 40s working out. Like, no, he didn't work out in his early years. He started working out in the gym, like never lifted weights before 56. All right. And now this is the results. So it is possible to build muscle in your 30s, 40s, and beyond. And that's what the whole Muscle After 40 Blueprint is geared for. It's geared for guys who are, you know, in that age range, who are kind of in the second half of life and kind of thinking, you know, am I over the hill? Is it worth it? I don't know. Should I just give up on myself and live the rest of my days fat and overweight and out of shape and just say the hell with it? Or should I actually, you know, give it some effort and see if I can maximize the second half of life? And that's exactly what Mike has done. He's maximizing the second half of life here. So bottom line, man, yeah, you can make progress in your 30s and beyond. Another one of my coaching students, like we've had several guys make some crazy progress in their later years. This is another guy, Norman. Norman's in his 70s. Right. I mean, got in great shape. Right. Here's another picture of him here. And I think Norman, these pictures were taken when he was like 71. So, I mean, like, heck, he's still making gains in his 70s. Right. Here's another one. This is Amo. Amo is 70. How old is he here? Second, now my screen is not showing there. 78. That's what it is. Okay, I had a window open that was covering it up. But yeah, Amo, 78 years old, right? So I mean, he made amazing progress. Who else we got there? There's another guy. I don't think I have his pictures here on this slides. Yes, I do. Here, this is Paul. Paul, I can't remember exactly how old he is. He's in his mid-60s. Right? I mean, like, made amazing progress in his mid-60s. You know, so bottom line, with the right approach, you know, the right training, nutrition, and support, habits and lifestyle, you can make progress regardless of age. Like, a lot of people use that as an excuse, like, oh, I'm too old and whatever, and they give up on themselves. Like, bottom line, regardless of your age, improvement is always possible. Right? You may not, go on to become the next Mr. Olympia, which you got better odds of winning the lottery than you do becoming the next Mr. Olympia. Like, there's literally more people win the lottery than they do win the Mr. Olympia. It's kind of put things in perspective. And your odds of winning the lottery are not pretty darn good. Like, I wouldn't be banking your retirement on that. So, put it in perspective. You're probably not going to be a pro bodybuilder. You're not going to be, the best in the world, but you could certainly be the best version of you, regardless of your age. So don't even use that as an excuse. Just start now, right? You're never going to be as young as you are right now, right? If you don't start now and you keep, I'm dilly-dallying, I don't care, I'm over the hill, whatever, then you're going to be like 10 years are going to roll by, and then you'll be 43 and you're like, oh, I wish I had started when I was 33, right? Or if you're 43 now and then you dilly-dally and then you're into your 50s and you're like, oh, I wish I had started when I was in my 40s. Like, start now. Bottom line, you're never going to be as young as you are right now. All right, we have Nicole joining in. It says, I'm most scared to detox. For alcohol, I have to do it on my own at home. Any hints for the withdrawal part? Whew, okay, that's a question that is outside my area of expertise. I have never really dealt with that myself, and I'm not the person to ask. Right. I respect you for jumping on board, Nicole, and sharing that. But I mentioned at the start, if I can help you, then I will. But if I don't, then I'm not going to give you false hope or BS or anything else. Detoxing for alcohol. I have to do it on my own at home. That's something I would. That's a loaded question there, because again, I'm not I don't even drink alcohol myself. I've never had a problem with alcohol, so I'm not the right person to answer this question whatsoever. But this is something maybe you should talk to your family doctor or whoever is requesting you to do this detox and see if they can provide some support or advice or whatever, because that's outside my area of expertise. All right, let's move on. Lee's got a question saying, I add about 100 grams of gluten-free oats to my food shakes a day. I gotta just clarify something. Gluten is wheat protein. That's all gluten is. It's wheat protein. Oats are not wheat. There's no gluten in oats. So if you buy the gluten-free oats, or you buy the old-fashioned oats, or what, oats don't have gluten in it. So it's gluten is a wheat protein. So unless you're consuming a wheat product, something with wheat in it, that's the only time you'll have to worry about gluten. So oatmeal is gluten-free. Anyway, getting back to your question. I add 100 grams of oats to my food shakes a day. If I up this to 200 grams a day, is this too much? It depends on your caloric needs and intake. It's what's right for you depends on a lot of variables, and your activity level, your metabolism, your goals. The big one is your activity level, because how much you consume really depends on how much you're burning. And this is something that really became apparent to me when I started getting more serious in cycling and long distance endurance training, because that really opened my eyes to how many calories people burn when doing long distance, long duration endurance. It's staggering. Like when you look at top level cyclists, they consume a massive amount of carbohydrates. Like when you see a cyclist who's doing a race, and maybe it's multi hours, whatever it is, like, there's all kinds of different durations, but like, for example, like the Tour de France, right? A lot of people are familiar with that because it's the most popular bicycle race in the world. Like they're doing anywhere from 150 to 200 plus kilometers a day. It's multiple hours in the saddle. These are long days. Like this, it's like literally running a marathon every day for 3 weeks. That's kind of the perspective of it, right? So it's massive. And every hour that they're riding, the average now for endurance athletes is 100 grams of carbohydrates an hour. And a lot of them are going even more than that. But that's kind of like ballpark average. Or even for the smaller guys, like these little skinny cyclists, they're slamming back 100 grams of carbs an hour when they're doing long distance endurance, when they're doing a race or a big event or whatever. So you're thinking like, oh, if I add an extra 100 grams, I bump up 100 grams to 200 grams, is it too much? It depends, right? It depends on your activity level. It depends on how much you're burning and how much you need. But I want you to adopt the mindset of eat more, burn more. Like fuel the machine, stoke the fire, and not be afraid of eating. Especially don't be afraid of eating carbohydrates when you're an athlete. Because a lot of people have this phobia and they're like afraid of eating carbohydrates. Whereas carbohydrates are your high octane fuel. If you want to perform at your best, whether that's strength or endurance or whatever, You need carbohydrates. That's what's going to fuel the fire and give you the energy. If you're trying to follow some low carb starvation cutting diet and perform at your best, it ain't going to happen. It's like trying to run your car on watered down gas, right? Yeah, I mean, you could have a V8 muscle car, but if you're putting watered down gas in it, it ain't going to fire properly. But if you put high octane race fuel in it, look out, that thing's going to fly. Same applies with your body, right? If you put in the high octane race fuel, it's going to perform. If you're trying to run it on watered down and skimping on the fuel, you're not going to get the performance. And this is something that I really noticed myself. And like, I do a lot of cycling, by most people's standards. Now, by pro standards, it's not a lot, but by most people's standards, it's a lot. Like so far this year, I'm just shy of 10,000 kilometers ridden for the year. And I'm averaging probably, it varies, but anywhere from I probably cycle about 10 hours a week minimum. Like 10 hours is probably a slow week for me, but anywhere 10 plus hours a week is normal. When I'm doing those bike rides, I'm fueling them. I'm not doing them fasted. I'm not trying to cut my calories or, I got to keep my carbs down. And hell no, I'm slamming them back. I put carbs in my water bottle. I mean, I'm consuming. I fuel up before I eat during the ride itself, and I'm consuming. I shoot for that, upwards of 100 grams of carbs per hour when I'm out cycling. And I find when I do it, my performance, my strength, my stamina, my energy, and my recovery is way higher. If I try and skimp on the calories, then not only does my performance suffer, but my recovery suffers. And it's like trying to drive a sports car on watered down gas, and you're not going to get the performance. So do not be afraid to eat if you need it. So feel free to add more carbs if you feel you need it, especially if you're very active and you're pushing the limits. All right, Navy Skies is joining in. Hi, Lee. How is it going? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How many times can I work forearms, and which exercises are the best for doing so? I actually wrote the book on that. Literally, I wrote a PDF ebook called Huge Freaky Forearms. It was a popular ebook back in the day. This was really back when I was a huge advocate of the heavy grips hand grippers. And I was using heavy grips hand grippers and a lot of other forearm assistant exercises. So I actually put together a PDF ebook called Huge Freaky Forearms. If you would like a copy of that, Navy Skies, just send me an email or a Facebook message. If we're not friends on Facebook, friend me up. All my details are down below in the description. And so either send me an email or drop me a Facebook Messenger message, and I'll send you a copy of that PDF. And that also applies to anybody else watching this. If you want a copy of the Huge Freaky Forearms PDF ebook, drop me an email or Facebook me a message, and I'll send it over to you. And that kind of covers a complete forearm training guide, like different exercises to build up the forearms. But one thing that I will say right off the bat, one of the most neglected areas of the forearms is the grip. If you strengthen your grip, your forearms are going to get bigger and stronger as well. Like a lot of people think, I want to do wrist curls and reverse wrist curls. And as long as I'm doing that, then my forearms are going to grow. Yeah, those are important, but even more so, building up your grip. And I mean, like the different types of grip, like your crushing grip, your pinch grip, the strength of your thumb, like all these different aspects of grip. If you build up a strong grip, then your forearms are going to respond accordingly. And for a lot of people, that's like the missing link. And once you start prioritizing grip training, your forearms can go to a whole new level. I know in my case, once I started prioritizing grip training, after years of neglecting my grip, as I mentioned earlier, when I was abusing lifting straps for everything, I actually added a full inch to my forearms in just 3 months by prioritizing grip training. It was like a neglected area. So once I started prioritizing it, it was a unique muscle stimulation, and they just responded. And this is not newbie gains. Like I still had well over a decade of training under my belt up until this point. But because I was neglecting that aspect, once I started training it, my body just responded like crazy. And I made some the best gains, when I really prioritized grip training. So that's what that ebook, The Huge Freaky Forearms. Like it really covers this in more detail. It covers a lot of exercises for the grip, as well as specific assistant exercises that you can use to strengthen your forearms. So drop me a message and I'll forward that over to you. Dave Harris joining in. I'm 57. I've been trading consistently for 18 months. I think you might be saying training consistently. Right? We're not an investment video chat, so we're going to talk about training. I've been training consistently for 18 months. I recently tried a HIIT workout and felt a shiver throughout my body. A couple of days later, I became sick. Have I overstressed my nervous system? I don't think so. I think it's just coincidence. You know, you picked up a bug or something along the lines, and that just kind of correlated with the workout. It's very unlikely that the workout caused you to get sick. Chances are you picked up a bug or something along the lines around the same time that you did the workout. That's my opinion. That's my theory on it. I mean, but with that being said, if you did a hard workout and you really stressed yourself, and you also had a bug and a weakened immune system, like it's not helping the process, put it that way. But is it the workout caused you to get sick? No, I don't think so. I think it's just a coincidence that it all combined together. That's my opinion on it. But bottom line, you just got to get better. And hopefully this is only a minor little bug or a flu or a snotty nose or whatever, and you'll be feeling better within a week or so. With that being said, I do have a video you should go check out. It's I'll just get the link to it. It's one talking about, you know, should you work out when you're sick? And this would be a good video to watch for anybody who's feeling sick. Workout. I'm not sure the exact title. I made this a few years ago, so I'm going to get the link for you and post it. Where is it? If you do a YouTube search, it might pop up. Just like Lee Hayward, should you work out when feeling sick? Lee Hayward, should you work out when feeling sick? Let's see if I find it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, the title is it bad to work out when you have a cold or flu? Okay. I knew it was something along those lines. Just a second. I'm going to copy the link into our chat and share it with you so you can go check that out for yourself. For those of you who are going to search for it, it's, again, the title is it bad to work out when you have a cold or flu? And it's a picture of me blowing my snotty nose into a tissue. That's the thumbnail. Okay. There we go. Should you work out when sick? There. I just posted it there in the comments, so it'll pop up there. Dave, you can go watch that because that'll probably give you some suggestions on how to deal with this little hurdle you're going through now when you're feeling under the weather, and how you go about it. All right, we have Neil joining in. Neil's a regular, tunes in pretty much every single week. Welcome, Neil. Says good morning. Obviously, it's morning for you. It's nighttime for me, as you can tell. It's pitch black out there now. Days are getting shorter. Does the angle of the incline bench matter? I mean, I find it better to press at around 70% incline on the shoulder press rather than standing. This is for shoulder growth. All right, when you do a high incline press, yes, you're going to engage the shoulders, but you're also going to engage the upper chest more. If you want a true shoulder press, then you should try and press vertically overhead. And a standing press would be ideal. In fact, I actually like the standing press. It's one of my favorite shoulder exercises because not only does it engage the shoulders, but you got to bring in all your core stabilization into play as well. And I just like that, you know, the standing military press, whether you're using a barbell or even dumbbells. So some people find the dumbbells easier because you don't have to worry about hitting your head with the barbell, and you can press literally in line with your head. Whereas with the barbell, you got to get, you know, you got to be able to push your head out of the way and press up without smacking yourself in the face with the barbell. It takes a bit of technique. So I like using dumbbells for that reason, or even a shoulder press. We have one at our gym. It's called the Viking press. It's basically a standing shoulder press machine that allows you to press right to the sides of your head, which is really nice. But bottom line, what feels the best for you and what's going to work around any aches, pains, injuries, or niggles that you've got to deal with? Because this is where you really need to tailor things. And if you find that one position is better, then you might want to prioritize that. But at the same time, don't be afraid to try different positions and experiment with different exercises, because you might find one that allows you to work the muscle that you want to target and isolate even better. But I will just say that when you do an incline, it's a high incline bench press, right? So there's a lot of chest, and you will lift more weight at a 70% incline versus a 90-degree shoulder press, just because you're engaging more muscle, right? When you're in that 90 degrees with the true shoulder press, there's no chest or very little. But once you angle yourself back, now all that upper chest mass is engaged, right? Even if it's only slightly back, that 70 degrees, you're still bringing in all that meat of the upper chest to help the shoulders. So that's why you're going to be able to lift heavier and probably feel, oh, I'm lifting more weight, I'm getting stronger and everything else. But it's bringing in the chest and not so much the shoulders. They're still working the shoulders, but you know what I mean? You're bringing in the chest to assist the shoulders is what I'm trying to say. So again, it's not right, wrong, good or bad. It depends on you and your situation, because I've seen a lot of guys, even pro bodybuilders, who've done the shoulder presses in that position and build massive physiques, right? So it still works, right? Like it still works, but it's just really what's personal preference for you. See what else we got. I also find it easier and pain-free to dumbbell chest press or shoulder press after a back exercise such as rows or pull down. How is this possible? That actually is quite common, because you're working agonist and antagonist muscle groups, opposing muscle groups. And when you do that, you actually keep the joints, tendons, and ligaments in balance and proportion. And that's actually a great way to train. That's personally how I train myself. So if I do a shoulder press, I follow it up with an overhead pull. So overhead press, overhead pull, horizontal press, horizontal pull, bicep curl, tricep extension, leg curl, abdominal crunch, some sort of lower back extension. I always work opposing movement patterns whenever possible. Like for example, like if I'm doing even chest flies, then I'll do reverse flies. So I'll hit the chest and front delts, and then I do reverse flies for the rear delts and upper back. I always like to do that, and that's how I structure my workouts, is always doing opposing movement patterns. And not only does this help to ensure equal development, but it's great from injury prevention as well, because a common mistake that a lot of people make is overworking certain muscles and neglecting others. The common one is guys working the show-off muscles, right? The muscles that they can see in the mirror. They say, "Oh, I want big chest, I want big biceps, I want six-pack abs, and that's what I can see when I look in the mirror, so that's what I'm going to train." And then they neglect the upper back and the legs and the hamstrings and all that. They neglect the back of the body basically, and until they realize, "Oh, I need to build up that as well." And that's how. You want to work everything in balance and proportion. So the fact that you're doing that, you are working things. You say, you do your chest press, and then after your rows, that's good, right? That's a good way to go about it. Is it okay to blend coffee with protein powder? Yes, you can. I actually made videos about this. High protein coffee. You can put protein powder in your coffee. The only thing I would recommend is don't have the coffee crazy hot. Like either let it cool, or if you just pour it up, like probably drop an ice cube in it and let the ice cube melt, and then add your protein powder. Because if the coffee's too hot, what often happens is the protein powder will curdle. It doesn't ruin it ruins the protein powder mostly from a taste aspect. I mean, you're still going to get nutritional value from it, but it ruins the coffee. Whereas if you have the coffee like warm but not scalding hot, that's the ideal temperature. You don't want your protein powder to curdle. And seeing you asked, I'm going to share the video I have there. Lee Hayward, high protein coffee. Yes, dear. My wife has just entered the room. She's what?
I'm good.
What do you want?
Nothing.
Well, what are you opening the door for?
Because you seem so quiet.
I'm not quiet. I'm talking to my viewers. What do you? Is supper ready or something?
No,
Or
nothing's ready.
am I in trouble?
Not today.
No. Do you want to come say hi?
You're good. You're good.
She
Fine.
come say hi. I don't know. She poked her head in the door and gave me the look. Right. I'm not very good at deciphering the hidden messages that women give you. Right. They always like it makes perfect sense to her, whatever the hell she did, but I'm clueless. I have no idea what she was trying to communicate to me when she stuck her head in the door and just looked at me. I'm probably in trouble for something that I don't even know I did. What was I typing in here? High protein coffee. There we go. Back to things as normal. There we go. I'm going to post a link to that in our chat window. Just give me a moment there. I copy, paste, done, ding dong. What I recommend for blending up your protein powder in your coffee, get yourself a milk frother. And that's what I show in the video. Milk frother, you can order it off Amazon. You can pick them up at Bed Bath & Beyond or any kitchen gadget type of store. They're well worth the investment. Like you pick up a decent one for somewhere in the $20 range, but man, they're awesome because you blend up your protein and it really gives it this nice frothy, almost like a fancy coffee, like just something you get at a fancy coffee shop. Like I like to put in a vanilla protein powder and it kind of gives it that French vanilla type of flavor. Almost like French vanilla cappuccino. And it's a great way, like if you're a coffee drinker and you normally have coffee early in the day, throwing in a scoop of protein with your coffee, that's a great way to bump up your protein without taking a lot of time, right? Like a lot of my coaching students, that's how they start their day, with the high protein coffee. You know, it's a great way to get the day started off on the right track with getting protein in early in the day. All right, what else we got there? I got a couple more questions, and then we're going to clue it up because I got to go figure out what the hell my wife poked her head in the door for. I got to go make peace with whatever I did wrong. Where was I to? I lost my train of thought. Rich, how long do you think it takes to return to shape after How long do you think it takes to return to shape after, as before, had break with gym workout 7.5 years now? All right, so you haven't been to the gym in 7.5 years. You're starting off bare bones beginner all over again, right? Just tell it like it is. When you go back to the gym, treat it as if this is day one. Don't think of, 7 years ago, I used to squat 300 pounds and use bench 200 pounds and blah, blah, blah. No, that's gone. All right. That's like a fart in the wind. You're starting off right now where you are today, whatever shape or strength or fitness you've got, like bare bones basic. You need to approach it just like a beginner all over again. Now, with that being said, there is such a thing as muscle memory, meaning that you can regain lost muscle faster than it took you to gain it in the first place. But it depends on a lot of variables as well. Like, I don't know how developed you were 7 years ago when you were training and then you took your hiatus from the gym. But generally speaking, you can kind of bounce back the second time around faster than it took you to gain it in the first place. But again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of variables that can come into play there as well. So bottom line, you need to approach it as a beginner. And if you want some help with that, feel free to reach out to me. Like, I got some beginner video programs that I can share with you. I got some, strategies to help you bounce back, because this is a common thing. Like the whole muscle after 40 blueprint, a lot of the guys who come on board with that are in a very similar situation where, hey, I used to work out when I was younger and when I was, going to college or whatever, before kids, and now married, kids, career, stress, I don't have time to work out. I've been neglecting my health and fitness, and now I'm overweight and out of shape, high blood pressure, pre-diabetic, and high cholesterol, and my things are going to shit. And you know, I need to take care of my health and fitness now, or I'm not going to be around to see my kids grow up. Right? That's the reality for a lot of people. That's what the whole Muscle After 40 blueprint is geared for, is people who have been prioritizing everything else, taking care of everybody else's needs, you know, working hard to put food on the table and a roof over the head and everything else, but neglecting your body in the process. And that can work in the short term, but it's going to come back and bite you in the ass, because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Like, your health has to be a top priority, at least as important as your career or making money and all that kind of stuff. Because let's face it, if you have a great career and you have great income and you got all that taken care of, but you don't have your health and fitness, what good is it? Like, I mean, all the money in the world is useless if you don't have your health, right? Like, there's no value in being the richest man in the graveyard. All right, so you want to take care of your health and fitness first. So again, if you want some help with bouncing back and, you know, starting again, feel free to reach out. And to help you with that, I actually have a free bonus that I'd like to share with you. And you can download it right away. Just pop open this video in the description below. I have a link to the Muscle After 40 Blueprint PDF. This is a PDF download, and it explains the whole Muscle After 40 Blueprint. And this is the system that I was sharing with you earlier. All right, I'll just share again here real quick. This is the system that... where are we to? These guys used to get their shit together and get back in shape, right? Like guys, like I mentioned, Mike Brown, this is what he followed, you know, to get back in shape in his 50s, right? This is what Jeff Samatero followed, right? To get in his all-time best shape, right? Achieve a full body recomposition. Now, this program, this Muscle After 40 Blueprint, this is what I have outlined down there in the PDF below. So if you want to see what's involved, just pop open the video description and download a copy for yourself. All right. This is what Amo followed to get six-pack abs at age 78. All right. So again, as I mentioned before, improvement is possible regardless of age. And you can always start again. All right, I'm going to answer a couple more questions and we're going to conclude up. How many more do we got? Oh, shit, there's a lot more came through. Where's all these questions coming from? Damn. All right. Let's see. What else am I going to answer? What's your take on pre-workout energy drinks? Pre-workout energy drinks. This is my take. I think a lot of them are overkill. And nowadays in the supplement industry, it's almost like a pissing match to see who can jam the most caffeine and stimulants into an ounce of powder, right? Or into a can of energy drink or whatever the heck you're getting. I find most of them are just way too strong, way too much caffeine, way too much. Bleh. I'm not a big fan of pre-workouts myself. For me, my pre-workout is a cup of coffee. Like something, it's simple, but it's enough of a little bit of a caffeine kick to, you know, give me that little mental pick-me-up without overkill. Because I've tried some of the pre-workouts out there and massive amounts of caffeine. Like some of them got 300, 400, 500 milligrams of caffeine, which is like more than you should be consuming in an entire day in a single drink. And, you know, and it's just overkill. Like when I was using some pre-workouts a while back, I couldn't even do a full scoop. I would do like half a scoop, and that was like more than enough. So, you know, I'm not a big fan of them. Like I personally like to drink coffee. I like the taste of the bean, right? So that's my pre-workout. And even then, I try to limit it. Like I limit myself to 2 coffees a day. Like what I'm drinking here now, this is actually a decaf. So I've swapped out a lot of my regular coffees for decaf, and you know. Because I just, as I said, I enjoy the taste of the bean. I enjoy the drinking of coffee, not necessarily the caffeine that it provides. I just enjoy the drink. So I'm actually drinking decaf now. But when I work out, my coffee that I have before I go to the gym or before I go for a bike ride or something, it'll be a regular caffeinated coffee. And that's more than enough pre-workout to give me a little boost without overkill. right? That's the way I go about it. Because again, you can easily go overkill with pre-workouts. And then what happens is you kind of get hooked on them, and it's not even a energy booster anymore. Now you need that massive dose of caffeine and stimulants just to function, right? Without it, you feel like a walking zombie, and then you take it, you feel normal. Whereas before you took it and you felt like, whoa, I got crazy energy, but that never lasts. That wears off quickly. And then eventually you just need the pre-workout now to get up to normal maintenance energy. So if you are going to use them sparingly, and use them for when you really need it. Like, for example, if someone's got a competition that they're doing, or a race or something like that. Like, that's sometimes when I would use a pre-workout. Like, I've gotten into cycling over the last few years, and I've done several local races. So on the day of a race, I'll probably take a pre-workout, right? Just give me that little bit of oomph, to kind of when I want to push it extra hard. But for my regular training, regular workouts, everything else, nah, just a plain old cup of coffee is more than enough. I want to kind of take the minimalist approach. All right. Ryan saying, it's funny you mentioned your old blender. It was your old protein ice cream video that took me down the road to the protein treat rabbit hole. I enjoyed your recipe for months. Awesome. Yeah, I still have that. That whole high protein ice cream where I mix up the frozen berries and protein powder and all that and blend it up. I mean, it's awesome because, it gives you that sweet treat, ice creamy, craving satisfied with a high protein, low sugar dessert, right? Like, I love it. It's high in protein, low in sugar, low in fat, and it's healthy. Can't beat it. TS says, going to the gym now, full body, going to be doing incline dumbbell press, dumbbell bench, bent over row, hammer curl, shrugs, lunges, and hamstring curls. Good stuff. Hope you have a good workout. Thanks for the pre-workout nutrition advice last time. You're welcome. Glad to help. And keep me posted with how things are going. Ryan saying, Lee, you teach starting over after a free meal or on scheduled rest day. My ADHD brain is all or nothing, and when I miss one day of exercise, I tend to miss a lot. Do you have any tips or tricks to avoid the all or nothing mentality? How do I get back and restart the next day? I recently missed a couple of days due to a stressful issue at work, and it became a couple of weeks. That's a loaded question, and quite honestly, I don't have time to really do it justice. But what I would recommend, Ryan, first off, you're not alone. All right, that's a very common thing, this all or nothing mentality. I recommend that you download a copy of the Muscle After 40 Blueprint if you haven't already done so, because there's a whole section in that PDF ebook that outlines this all or nothing trap in detail. So again, pop open the video description below. There's a link there, or you can just head on over to my website, leehayward.com. There's a link there on the website where you can download the Muscle After 40 Blueprint. And in that ebook, there's a whole section covering the all or nothing trap and how you real world strategies on how you can let go of that and be good enough, but good enough consistently. It's really a mindset shift. Now it's easier said than done, but we do have some practical, like step-by-step strategies to build into that habit of being good enough, but good enough consistently. Or another way of putting it is we want to be consistently good versus occasionally great. Because that's what happens when you're all or nothing. It's like, I'm occasionally great. Like when I'm all in and everything's going great and I got no distractions and there's nothing else on my schedule and nobody's bothering me and the stars and the heavens above are all aligned and everything's wonderful, I can be all in. But the minute something throws a wrench into it, everything's like, oh shit, I can't be perfect and screw it. What's the point of doing anything at all? And then you just throw it all out the window and fall off the rails. That was me. Like when I was competing in bodybuilding, it was all or nothing, right? I put on the blinders, go into whole contest prep mode. There was no cheat meals. There was no restaurants. There was no social gatherings. It was just eat, sleep, train, repeat, put the blinders on and, tunnel vision. And as long as I stayed in my little bubble, I could make it work. But if anything derailed me or burst my bubble, there was times I'd literally be like middle of a contest prep and something derailed me. I missed a few workouts, or I cheated on my diet. And, oh, screw it, I can't compete. I'm not going to be ready. And then I drop out. Like I literally had that all or nothing mentality where, I'd be full steam ahead, and a little bump in the road, and like, oh, I quit. And that's the way a lot of people approach their fitness. It's got to be perfect or nothing. And the truth is, it's never going to be perfect, or at least never perfect for long. Right? I don't care who you are, what you are, but life is going to find a way to throw a curveball into it. Right? Life is going to find a way to, throw excrement at the fan, and things are going to go not your way. That's if there's one thing I can guarantee, everybody's going to have challenges. Everybody's going to fall off the rails. Everyone's going to have stuff that they didn't expect happen, right? Things are going to happen. Prime example, a couple of years ago, we had this thing called a pandemic. Nobody's seen that coming, and that affected the whole GD world. So, there's going to be stuff happen, right? That's something I can guarantee. It's not what happens, it's how you deal with it. And the secret is really making the best of your situation. Even if it's not perfect, how can you be better than you were before? And that's what I share in that whole Muscle After 40 blueprint. And I give you real world examples of exactly how to do that. So again, download a copy of that. And if it sounds like something you're interested in, you'd like to implement for yourself, then just reach out to me. We can have a chat and brainstorm an action plan that's right for you to help you overcome that mental block. Because it's basically what it is. It's a big mental block. All right, guys, I'm going to get ready and clue this up. I've almost been going for an hour and a half. As I mentioned before, we go for an hour-ish, and we're well into the ish. So I'm going to clue it up now. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, chat. I enjoyed doing this. And if you did, please thumbs up, subscribe, share some comments and feedback. And, make sure to stay tuned for next week, because I'm back here again live at 5. And in the meantime, if you would like to keep the conversation going throughout the week, we also have an option for that. You can head over to Facebook and join the Total Fitness Bodybuilding group. We have an online community where you can chat, about your workouts, about your nutrition, all the kind of stuff that we're talking about here. We can keep that conversation going throughout the week over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. So if you haven't already done so, pop open the description below, click on the link to join the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. Friend me up if you haven't already done so, and we can keep that conversation going. All right, I'm going to clue it up, and I will talk to you next week. Have yourself a great weekend. Take care. Over and out.